Hello, my brothers and sisters. It's Josh Packard. Hey, today I want to talk to you about conforming to the ideas of those that have no knowledge. Makes no sense. Yesterday on the radio, I heard a pastor, trying to, on the radio, telling everybody how we need to raise the bars as Christians because even Gandhi said he loved Jesus. It was the Christians that he couldn't stand. And he's likening this to saying that Gandhi would have been a Christ follower if it wasn't for Christians getting in the way. And I'm like, oh, are you a moron? So what you're telling me is that as a Christian, I'm supposed to live to the standards of a man who is carnal in all of his ways, that is ungodly to the bone, one that is conforming to the images of his own understanding through his own force of the flesh and through what he thinks makes a righteous person. You want me to live up to his expectation? You are a moron, sir. Because not only that, you just put the burden on all these people to live. And then so now, since we ought to listen to Gandhi, why don't we listen to Oprah? Or why don't we listen to the Pope? Why don't we listen to Jeffrey Dahmer? I mean, these people are ungodly. Let's go listen to the Dalai Lama. Reincarnation is just the same thing as resurrection, right? I mean, what kind of dipstick is teaching that to his congregation? We do not listen to ungodly people. Tolerance and nice is not godliness. Okay? It's blowing my mind, the stuff I'm hearing on the radio. I was on the radio for 20 minutes yesterday, and this is the stuff I heard. I mean, yesterday, there's one of the pastors on there that's, probably the most graceful, he's the most grace-sided pastor, though he's still completely flesh. But he was having a conversation with this woman, and she was wanting him to explain a certain point about, that most people can follow what God says. It's the time, doing it in the right time is what is the big deal. And he's like, oh yeah, honey, or whatever her face is. And he's like, when God gives you a commandment and the time that it takes you to actually do it, the time in between belongs to Satan. I'm all, what? Well, are you full of crap? I mean, unbelievable. What happens is now the biggest problem in the church is people doing things according to their own timing and according to their own understanding. So right now you just told people they're going to be out there frantically searching. The ones that are really taking this to heart and the ones that are really trying to serve God, they're like going to be like, oh my God, am I doing things in the right way? Am I serving Satan? Well, actually, just so that you know, your pastor served Satan right there. No, he just interjected his opinion according to whether or not you're serving God according to the right time or not. And it's like, that is stupid. Because now you're just putting a burden on people that's unnecessary. It doesn't make any sense. I want you guys to know, God doesn't need you. He's not like all upset if you don't get there on time. He does not need you. Sorry. He has no need for you. What we do for the Lord is only for us. I'm looking around at all these Christians that are saved that have no idea that they are. They're NPCs, completely doing nothing for God. They're completely just going to church. They still haven't come to the cross. They still haven't even embraced it. They still haven't even come to the place to where they can't do anything for God yet. Okay? I want you guys to know, being a Christian does not get you a reward. Being a Christian is the reward. Duh. Being a Christian is heaven. You don't go to heaven for being a Christian. Sorry, you guys. This is it. Isn't it exciting? Heaven is where Christ is. Where is Christ right now? Oh, wait, he's in us. When Jesus says, beware, he says, the kingdom of God does not come with observation. It is in you. And everybody's like, oh, this heavenly place, it's going to be these rainbows and butterflies and these golden streets and blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, well, yeah, no, it's not. It literally is that, but it's this. It's like Jesus. They were expecting this big, giant king to come. And he's like, oh, I'm just this. This is the kingdom. The kingdom of heaven came to you. Here I am. And everybody's like, oh, nope, that's not the kingdom. Nope, nope, because their opinions. It's like Jesus is like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is what the king looks like in your kingdom. Look around you. These are the people of your kingdom. They're just ordinary, average people. There's nothing special about them. Yet people won't receive that. People got to go. It's like Naaman the Syrian. It's one of my favorite stories. He's just amazing to me that he was a leper. And he comes with big pomp and circumstance. Like, you know, he's going to impress, you know, the prophet. And it's Elisha. Anyway, he doesn't even come to the door. Elisha just sends his servant. He says, he's like washing dishes. I just tell him to wash in the Jordan. He didn't even give him anything. He was like, oh, you know, he's always just some other dude. You know, didn't give him any respect. He just told him to go do something simple. Well, Naaman's like, oh, well, you know, aren't all the rivers in, you know, Syria better than this and blah, blah, blah. Well, anyways, his servants finally just come in. He says, if he would have told you to do something great, you would have done it. You would have scaled, and that's like all of us. We would have scaled mountains. We'd do everything so we have the right to do this. And they're like, oh, he just simply told you to go dip in the river 7 times. Just do it. Sure enough, after the council of everybody calmed him down, just told him to relax and go do the simple thing. And he did it, and he comes back healed. And he wants to give him gifts, and he's like, I don't need any gifts. You're healed. This is cool. And this is the way we are every day. We try to make this big, giant deal out of what a Christian is supposed to be. Put all this pressure on ourselves, and we're always looking at ourselves. And here it is. It's just this. And this is the greatest thing there is. There's no pressure. There's no worries. There's no need to be something more than what you are. You can breathe and relax on this earth. Get along easy. You don't have to beat yourself up daily and try to worry about which way you're going. Look in the mirror. That's what you are. That is a Christian. Look at it. There it is. Nothing special. Just free. Isn't that cool? So now when I'm looking at all these pastors on the radio, and they're trying to raise the bar all the time. They're putting images for people to fall short of. They're using the scriptures as a magnifying glass to ferret out all your sins, so that you'll look at your sins, you'll agree to how terrible you are, and then you'll try to fix yourself to be a better Christian, a better witness. The problem is, if that's coming from your pastor, let's see who else uses that method to get it from you. Oh, Satan. He accuses you. Then you look at yourself and you agree. He uses the scripture as a magnifying glass. How come that my pastor sounds just like Satan? Imagine that. Kind of weird, isn't it? You've heard the verse that says that his messenger will appear as messengers of light. They're going to look good. Oh, but what? My pastor could never be a servant of Satan. He goes to church every Sunday. He's always teaching Bible studies. He's always at the church picnics. How could he be serving? The bigger question is that if he's serving Satan and you're following him, who are you serving? Not realizing it, completely blind to it, completely. So those who are godly, they're going to use the scriptures to magnify Jesus. They're going to put your salvation wrapped up in him. They're going to put your sanctification wrapped up in him. They're going to put your glorification all in him. Everything's going to be in Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And this is the funny thing, and this is how the Bible is like a double-edged sword. On the one side, the carnals can wield it to produce condemnation and conformity to images and use it to the power of the flesh. But the godly will turn it around and they'll put all that, yes, we are all these things. But Jesus is great. But Jesus has done it. But Jesus has fixed it. But Jesus has done this. And you're like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's all you'll hear them saying. They're not going to come up to you and say, well, are you masturbating today? Or are you, have you been in your word this week? Or have you, how are you being held accountable this week? How many, all the way that the religious Christians come up, these carnal Christians that are still based upon their flesh, that are still conforming to idols of their own imagination, or even worse, the imagination of other people, that are still using the scriptures to magnify themselves, the ones that are guilting themselves and beating themselves up daily. You know how to really piss them off? Which is a lot of fun. And I'm sorry, it really is. But it's when you just are yourself and you're just off color, you don't give a rip. And you're not doing the things they're doing. You don't have to. And you're just wholly excited about God. You're like, Jesus, 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 Jesus. And they're like, oh yeah, Jesus. Jesus is so wonderful. Let's be reverential. But they're going to get mad at you because you're not doing what they're doing, yet you have total confidence before God. And you're just like, yeah, well, you guys can do that. Or we can go outside and skip or whatever you're going to do. You don't have to do anything. And it angers them. Oh, you must be in a cult because that's not what my pastor says. My pastor says I got to be in my Bible every day. I got to study every day. I've got to do this. I've got to keep my thoughts godly. I've got to keep them pure. I've got to measure up to Gandhi. Wait a minute. It was on the radio, man. The pastor yesterday he was holding people up to the standards of an ungodly man, saying that, oh God, Gandhi even says that we're not Christian enough. So maybe, we need to be raised the bar. And it's like, you want to conform to the idea of an ungodly man? A man who's still using whatever idea he's using to magnify himself, to conform himself to an idea of his own making, yet you're honoring and glorifying his idea of what a Christian ought to be? That's stupid. I mean stupid. Okay, so I'm here to tell you today that I'm magnifying Jesus. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm reading the book of Jeremiah. And Jeremiah is just, you can feel the urgency. And he's telling people, he's like, because Isaiah's right before it, and Isaiah's just like, it's coming, it's coming. You guys, this is the last chance. Turn your asses around. They won't do it. They want to have their own righteousness. They want people to hold them in high esteem. They want to, they were so tolerant to the point where people were sacrificing their children. And they're like, oh yeah, oh, that's your super, oh. And it's like, oh my God. And it's like, anyway, so these people are so far gone. And Jeremiah says, you're past the point of return. Now it's time to pack your bags. Get ready. You're going to lose your children. Get ready. The siege is coming. You're done. And anyway, and I'm trying to tell you that he's talking to the pastors and the prophets and the priests and these people that were in charge. And everyone around them thought they were good men. They were the ones that went to church every Sunday. They were the ones that went to Bible studies 3 times a week. They're the ones that could sing the best, and they sing hymns all the time. And they were constantly in their scriptures everywhere they go. They were doing everything right, and everyone's patting them on the back, saying, Pastor, Pastor, everywhere they went. And all the people had no idea that they were completely led astray, that their pastors were completely gone and completely outside of God's will. They had no idea of it. There is no difference today. I mean, none. Our pastors are gone. They're still conforming to images, using the scriptures as a magnifying glass to magnify sins and transgressions and using that to conform themselves, which is the power of the flesh, by the way, which is a friend of the world and an enemy to God. So I'm here to tell you, Jesus has done everything. There's nothing left to do. Jesus is everything. He's your wisdom, your sanctification. He's your justification. He's your salvation. He's your everything, your glorification. He's everything. He's your redeemer. He's your husband. He's every possible thing. He's done everything. That you're just you. The knowledge of his victory is what allows you to be what you were created to be, not what you think you ought to be. Okay, so I want to leave this with one thing. And even after all that crap, even after everybody was just completely lost and gone, and I want to read for you, this is one of my favorite verses of all time. And it gives me great hope. And I hope it does for you guys too. Then we'll cut her short today. And this is Jeremiah 18. And I just, even in the midst of all this crap, he brings this out, and it's great. He says, the word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause you to hear my words. Okay. He says, then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheel. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to make it. I want you guys to look at this in the grand scheme of things. So that God made, so think about God as this potter. And let's think about Adam as the first pot. And as he was making it in his hand, it fell apart. You didn't see him get all alarmed. You don't see him get all upset. You don't see anything. You see, so he made it again into whatever he saw fit. And that's what Jesus did. God didn't get upset. He's not like worried about like, oh no, he doesn't do that. God's like, I got this. Done and done. He says, yeah, you guys failed, fell short. Yep, it worked. It just fell apart. But no big deal. I got this. And that's the way we need to live and breathe and walk in this life. Mike, my friend Mike, the other day was like, and I know I've said this in my video, but it was just so funny. Because we're talking about the pre-trib, post-trib, all millennial, pre-millennial, all the different types of rapture, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, well, he says, yeah, that stuff's all so confusing. He says, I'm more of a pan-theorist and all. A pan-theorist? And he's like, oh, yeah, I believe everything will pan out in the end. I'm like, well, that's perfect. That's exactly the idea that we need to have. We don't know how he's doing it. We don't know what he's doing, but he's got it done. See, we know the cross is done. We know that we've been purchased. We know that the honor of God is to live as though we've been saved, that we don't listen to accusation. We don't use the scriptures as a magnifying glass to root out sin. We don't do this stuff. We don't care. This is not what we're concerned with. Now we're concerned with tearing down all the strongholds that creates. All these images are strongholds that we need to break down for people so they can enter into the rest of Christ. Now. Heaven is now. It doesn't come with observation. You don't see it. It's not going to descend and heaven's all of a sudden going to be everything's going to change. Jesus says it does not come with observation. It is within you. Heaven is here now in you. If you'll take it, if you'll quit listening to the accusation of the enemy and his servants, our pastors, and the leaders of all of our churches right now. Quit listening to them. Or those that sit in the pews or those out in the world. Do you know they're all a part of the system? They're all underneath. They're still servants of sin. They're still under the dominion of sin. That's why they have to use sin in order to make themselves look like they're being Christian. So anyway, folks, Jesus got you. So anyway, relax, rejoice. You're what a Christian is. With all your failings, with all your falling shorts, you're just what a Christian is. And God will transform you in his timing. And there's many of you out there that think you're Christians, that you're still just conforming. You're no different than Gandhi. You're no different than Oprah. You're no different than anyone. You're just throwing a label Christian on yourself, though there's really no evidence of it. And I'm not saying that to condemn you. I'm not saying that it's going to exclude you from the kingdom or that you're not a Christian. But what happens is that you, though being a Christian, are denying God and everything. So anyway, I hope that brings lots of rest for you. Have a wonderful day, and see you next time. All right, bye.